Osho, Philosophia Ultima, talks on the Mandukya Upanishad given at the Osho Commune International, Pune, India. Discourse number 5.
Bhagwan. This pure self has 4 quarters. The first is the waking state, experience of the reality common to everyone. The attention faces outwards, enjoying the world in all its variety. The second experience of subjective worlds, such as in dreaming. Here the attention dwells within, charmed by the mind's subtler creations. The third is deep sleep. The mind rests with awareness suspended. This state beyond duality, from which the waves of thinking emerge, is enjoyed by the enlightened as an ocean of silence and bliss. The fourth, say the wise, is the pure self alone. Dwelling in the heart of all, it is the Lord of all, the seer of all, the source and goal of all.
Carl Gustav Jung thinks that the Eastern approach to reality is introvert. He is utterly wrong. The Eastern approach is neither extrovert nor introvert. It is a transcendence of both. But to understand the transcendence, one has to be a Buddha. One has to be really awakened. The ordinary mind can think only of 2 things: the outside reality and the inside reality. There is no possibility of comprehending the beyond. And the beyond is the concern of all Eastern mysticism. The Upanishads are the source of all that is beautiful, true, blissful, all that is significant as far as human evolution is concerned. One of my friends, a great poet, Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, went to China. He was talking to a great Chinese philosopher, Lin Yutang. He has heard much from me about Lao Tzu. He had become immensely interested in the Taoist approach to reality. He said to Lin Yutang that I love Lao Tzu. Lin Yutang looked puzzled at the poet and said, but the source of Lao Tzu is in the Upanishads. And Lin Yutang is right, sincerely right. The whole mysticism of the East, wherever it has happened, in India, in China, in Japan, has its source in the Upanishads. And this Upanishad, Manjukya Upanishad, is one of the most fundamental, because in a very essential way it describes the innermost core and also the ultimate reach of human consciousness. The ordinary mind is dual. It thinks in terms of two-ness, light and dark, day and night, summer and winter, life and death, good and bad, moral and immoral, extrovert and introvert, the real and the unreal, the momentary and the permanent. The duality is always there. It has entered in the very fabric of our languages. But the moment you become really awakened and remember the word really, because we think that every morning we are awake when we come out of the sleep. That is only pseudo-awakening. That is only so-called awakening. The real awakening is when one becomes a Jesus, a Buddha, a Mahavira, a Laos. When one has come to see the merger of the within and the without, when one has come to see the oneness of life and death, when there is no division left, that state is awakening. Before that, everybody is a little bit schizophrenic, because the divided mind divides you. Then you are divided into the lower and the higher. Then you are divided into the conscious and the unconscious, the body and the soul, and so on and so forth. Carl Gustav Jung is not right at all in saying that Eastern mysticism is introversion. That is a condemnation. Because in psychology, the word introversion is ugly. It means somebody is morbid. It means somebody is close to the outside reality. It means that one is not open. Jung had come to India while a great seer was alive, Sri Ramana Maharishi. And many people told him to go and see. But he didn't go there. He traveled all over India. He went to see the Taj Mahal and Khajuraho, Ajanta and Ellora. But he didn't go to see Ramana Maharishi. Basically, he was afraid. The fear was that a man like Raman can become a mirror. He may see his own face, his own falseness. But people rationalize everything. He rationalized that he didn't go to see Raman because the Western mind is extrovert and the Eastern mind is introvert, and their approaches are different, and it is better not to get mixed. Otherwise one can lose one's path, as if he had some path. Whatsoever he was saying was a simple rationalization of not accepting the truth that he was afraid. It is always a dangerous thing to encounter the awakened man, because immediately you can see where you are. It is said in Arabian countries that the camel does not like to go near any mountain because he is afraid to be in the closeness of a mountain. He will have to realize that he is nothing. Perhaps that's why he lives in the desert, where he appears to be the most mountainous animal, incomparable. Jung's fear of going to Raman Maharishi is also associated with his fear of going to one other place. His whole life he was interested to go to Egypt, to see the ancient mummies, the dead bodies which have been preserved for at least 4,000 years. Many times he planned, and many times he cancelled. He was just to go. So many times his suitcases were ready. He was just to sit in the car and reach the airport, and suddenly he will feel sick, ill, some problem will arise, and he will cancel the trip. Once he even reached to the airport and came back home. Finally, he had to look for the real cause. Why? So many times he has been cancelling it. And he had to take a note of it, that he is afraid of seeing dead bodies, 4,000 years old. Maybe still he is a little far away from the truth, but in the right direction he has been looking. He is afraid of death. Those dead bodies will remind him of his own death. These both things are in some way connected together. Going to a man like Raman is passing through the death of the ego. Because the only way to go to the awakened is to go in deep surrender and trust. It is a death far more deeper than the physical death. He avoided Raman, and still he went on saying things about the East which are not true, because he had never experienced the Eastern depth of mysticism. you will see in Mandukya Upanishad how penetrating has been the vision. Psychology is lagging far behind. It has taken a very significant step, but only one step, and the journey is yet incomplete. Much it has to go. Before Sigmund Freud, the Western mind accepted only one state, that is our so-called waking state. It had not even accepted the reality of the dreams. Sigmund Freud's great contribution is bringing the world of dreams to a focus, allowing it to be analyzed, interpreted, observed. Because before Sigmund Freud, the West was living only with the first state, the so-called waking state. He at least took one step deeper. But there are still two more steps to be taken. Only then the psychological science will be complete. Hidden beneath the dreaming state is dreamless sleep, susupti. And even hidden within and below and also beyond the third state is the real awakening, the fourth. The Upanishads simply call it the fourth, Turiya. They don't give it a name, because to give it any name may give you some idea, and no idea can be given of it unless you have experienced it. So they simply call it the fourth. That is significant. For the other three they have given names. Jagrati, the so-called waking state. Swapna, the dream, the dreaming state. Susupti, the dreamless sleep. But the fourth they have left only as the fourth, undefined. It has to be experienced to be known. Mandukya says, this pure self has 4 quarters. The word pure self has to be understood, because there is a possibility of misunderstanding it because of the word self. But the condition of purity makes it clear that by the self, ego is not meant at all. You can call it the egoless self, because the ego is the impurity. All that is arbitrary and artificial is impure. All that is natural and intrinsic is pure. You bring your original face with you, and then you start wearing masks. Those masks are your impurity, and ego has many masks. Because you have to relate with many people. In different situations, you need different faces. You have to change your face constantly. It is said of George Gurdjieff that he was such a great actor that he will be talking to two persons, one sitting on the left and the other sitting on the right, and he will show to both of them different faces. When he will turn to the left, he will show one face. When he will turn to the right, he will show another face. And both the persons will argue later on about the person. They both will describe him in different ways. One will say how loving he was, how compassionate, how blissful. And the other will say, what are you saying? Have you gone mad? He was so arrogant, so egoistic, so cruel, so violent, almost murderous. Gurdjieff used to enjoy that very much. He will leave such different impressions. He was capable of changing his mask because he knew his original face. You don't know your original face. You change your mask, but that too is mechanical, almost autonomous. You don't change it, it changes by itself. When you are talking to your wife, you have one face. When you are talking to your beloved, you have another face. Just watch a little and you will be able to see the truth of it. When you are talking to your boss, you can't have the same face as when you are talking to your servant. When the boss enters in your room, you immediately stand up, wagging your tails, which does not exist, but still you wag. And when the servant enters in the room, you don't take any note of him at all. If you are reading your newspaper, you go on reading. If you are smoking, you go on smoking. He is a non-entity. There is no need to take any note. He comes and goes as if he has not come and not gone. Nothing has happened. He is not an event. Even if a rat comes in the room, you will take note. You may stand on your chair. But the servant does not exist. Watch next time when your servant enters the room or your boss enters the room, your wife, your child, your friend, your enemy, and look how different you are. The pure self means the original face, unadulterated, unpolluted, the pure mirror with no reflection, with nothing to reflect. It has 4 quarters. 4 dimensions, you can call them, 4 stages, you can call them, 4 quarters, you can call them. The first is the waking state. The translation is not right. The translation should be, the first is the so-called waking state. The word so-called is missing. Because it is not really a waking state. It is only so-called. Do you think you are awake? Each morning you open your eyes, that is one thing. But to be awake is totally different. Just close your eyes any time in the day and you will find an undercurrent of dreams, fantasies going on. Even modern psychology accepts that only a very small fragment of our totality is conscious, 1/10. And that too is very fragile. Just skin deep or not even that deep. Scratch it a little and immediately it disappears. Insult somebody. Step on somebody's toes and immediately he loses consciousness. He becomes mad. Just a word is enough to make him enraged. Anger is a temporary madness. That fragile part of his being which was just a little conscious, just a little candle, and it is all dark now. That's why many times you say that I did it in spite of myself. What do you mean, in spite of myself? How can you do anything in spite of yourself? Is there somebody else within you too who can do something in spite of you? When you say it, you simply mean that I became so unconscious, so mad, that I did something which, if I had been a little bit sane, I would not have even thought about. We are living in a so-called waking state. It is somnambulistic. There are people, and they are not few. There is one person in every 10 persons. 10% people are somnambulists. You may be having one in your family. If your family consists of 10 persons, probably there is one person who is a somnambulist, who walks in his sleep. There are many people. They may not be aware. Their families may not be aware, unless they are caught red-handed. And this rarely happens because everybody is asleep. In the middle of the night they will wake up. Not really awake. Their eyes are open, but very glassy. If you see their eyes, glassy. But they manage to get out of the door, to reach to the kitchen, to open the fridge, to eat something, go to bed again, and in the morning they complain that I don't feel any appetite today. I don't know why I'm getting fat. And they may not be lying at all. They may be sincerely telling it, that they try to diet and they try to exercise but somehow they go on gathering fat. They get up in their sleep. People have been known to do strange things in their sleep. Even murders have happened. People have murdered in their sleep. And they were absolutely true when in the court they said that we don't know anything about this murder. Of course, every proof is there that they have murdered. Their fingerprints are on the person's neck. Still they are right. They are not wrong. Few husbands have killed their wives. They could not gather courage enough in their waking state. But while asleep they managed, gathered their guts. But in the morning they have forgotten all about it. Papa Bear. Somebody has eaten my porridge. Baby Bear. Somebody has eaten my porridge too. Mama Bear. Shut up, you idiot. I have not served it yet. The plane transporting 22 inmates from one madhouse to another was flying at 3,000 feet. The pilot and the steward were in the cockpit, and all of a sudden the plane started tilting to the right, then to the left, then to the right again. The frightened steward went to see what was happening. 1 minute later he was back to the cockpit and the plane was back to normal. What was the matter? Asked the pilot. What were they doing? They were playing football. Well, how did you stop them? Asked the pilot. The steward grinned. I said, hey boys, it is such a nice day. Why don't you go out and play there? An insomniac who could not fall asleep until shortly before it was time to get up consulted his doctor, who prescribed sleeping pills. He took a pill before retiring, and surely enough he fell promptly asleep, but awoke before he heard the alarm clock. For the first time in weeks he felt refreshed, and after bathing and breakfasting leisurely, strolled into the office. I took a sleeping pill, he told the boss, and did not have any trouble getting up this morning. That's interesting, replied the boss. But where were you yesterday? A woman had been killed, robbed of all her belongings, and left naked on the footpath. The first person, a rabbi, to find her, quickly took off his hat to cover her nakedness. The next man to pass by asked what was going on. Well, said the rabbi, this woman is dead. I was going to find somebody to remove the body. Hold on a minute, replied the other man. Had not you better get that rabbi out of there first? People in the so-called waking state are not awake. They are still dreaming. Just their eyes are open. They are mechanically behaving. Yes, they are efficient to do the routine work because they have become accustomed of doing it. There is something like a robot part of the mind. Once you have learned to do a certain thing, it is transferred to the robot part of the mind. Then it goes on doing it without your being aware of it. It is programmed. And this is one of the things to be very deeply understood. We are all programmed. We have been programmed by the priests, by the politicians, by all kind of ideologies. From the very childhood you have been programmed. A certain program has been put into your head and you are following that program. When a Hindu sees a temple, suddenly he bows down. That is only a program. He is not doing it. He does not mean it. He may not be even aware why he is doing it or that he is doing it. He is simply bowing down because from the very childhood he has been forced to do it. Now he has learned the trick. It is only a trick. It almost always happens whenever you are repeating rituals. You need not be aware. Every Sunday and suddenly you feel the urge to go to the church. For no reason at all. If you don't go, you will feel as if you have missed something. If you go, you don't gain anything at all. It is just like smoking. If you smoke the cigarette, you don't get anything. Or perhaps you get something, cancer, etc. But if you don't smoke, the idea of smoking haunts you. You feel something is missing. You feel disturbed. The routine has not been fulfilled. You have to do it, otherwise your program inside goes on knocking. Do it. Unless you do it, it will not leave you alone. Whether it is smoking or prayer does not matter. It is all the same. If it is out of your programming, there is no difference in it at all. You don't feel like bowing down before a Mohammedan mosque if you are a Hindu, or before a church if you are a Mohammedan, or before a temple if you are a Christian. Why? Those are also places devoted to God, dedicated to God. But no desire arises because that is not your programming. That is not your conditioning. Your so-called waking state is full of mechanical habits. You simply go on repeating them. And each generation goes on giving its mechanical habits to the new generation. That's why progress seems to be so impossible. Because parents go on imprinting their children with their programming. And that programming has been coming for centuries, maybe thousands of years old programming. Their parents programmed them, and their parents, and their parents. And it has been going on since Adam and Eve. Perhaps even before that, because God programmed Adam and Eve not to eat from this tree is a program. It is a conditioning. You should do this, you should not do this. She behaved just like any other stupid father. No difference at all. And he punished like any father. He threw Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. This waking state is not real waking state. Real waking state happens only when you are completely deprogrammed, unconditioned. Two drunks, Mo and Hari, meet. How ya, Hari? Did we kill a bottle together last night? No, replies Hari. Ah, says Mo, must have been two other guys. Even the drunkard believes that he can reason. The punch-drunk prize fighter, having dropped to the mat from a crushing blow, was about to get up, stay down until 8, ailed his manager. The fighter mumbled in a daze, "What time is it now?" The honeymoon is over when she starts wondering what happened to the man she married. And he starts wondering what happened to the girl he did not. Just people go on doing things not knowing why they are doing. People get married, then they become parents. Then whatsoever has been done to them, they start doing to their children. Perhaps they are taking revenge with their parents, paying the debts. They cannot do the same to their parents, but they can become parents and can do the same to the little children. And in their own turn, the children will do the same thing. That's how diseases go on being transferred from one generation to another. Progress seems to be impossible. It is really miraculous that few people like Buddha, Lao-Tzu, Mahavira, Krishna escaped from this programming, conditioning process of the society. It is certainly a miracle. I don't call it a miracle when Jesus walks on water. Even if he does, so what? But I call it a miracle that he escaped from the Jewish conditioning. That is a miracle, true miracle. I don't call it a miracle if he makes Lazarus come back from death, maybe he was just in a coma. Perhaps he was not really dead. I don't call it a miracle that Jesus, after crucifixion, comes back alive. Because in those days, the method of crucifixion, the Jewish method, was so old-fashioned that it used to take at least 24 hours to 48 hours for a person to die. And he was taken down the cross after 6 hours. And he was a young man, only 33. Perhaps he was not dead. It was a very slow process of death. Very torturous because it was very slow. We are more human when we put a man on the electric chair. Within seconds he is gone. He will not be even aware. He may be thinking of other things. While he is thinking, he is gone. Suddenly he finds he is gone. Suddenly he looks at the chair and there is a dead body and he is hovering above. This is far more human. But 48 hours hanging on the cross, blood oozing out of your body, is slowly, when the whole blood has gone out of the body and nothing is left behind, then only you will die. So I don't call resurrection a great miracle, but getting out of the Jewish tradition, getting out of the Jewish conditioning is certainly a miracle. Buddha getting out of the Hindu fold, the Hindu mob psychology, was doing a tremendous act, a great rebellion, effacing the whole mind. That's what he did for 6 years continuously. People think he was meditating. Meditation, in fact, is a blanket word. It covers many processes. And the basic process is deprogramming. For those 6 years, he was simply deprogramming himself, getting out of the clutches of Hinduism. The moment he was completely out, he became enlightened. Two hippies are walking along a road. One says, "Hey man, I just had a great idea." "Wow, far out. What is it?" "Forgotten it, man." But that's how we are. We go on getting great ideas, but they are just like smoke. One moment they are there and then they are gone. It needs a dedicated effort, a continuous endeavor to get rid of your programming, because it has been done in so many years. You have been chained within and without with such subtle conditions that unless you are very, very watchful and intelligent, you will not be able to escape from the prison. But in fact, we don't want to get out of the prison. All that we want is to make the prison a little more comfortable, a little more cozy. A beautiful painting on the prison walls, good furniture, maybe antique, wall-to-wall carpeting, and you are perfectly happy. That's what people are doing by earning money, power, prestige, making their prison cells a little bit better. Maybe putting an air conditioner, fixing electric lights, having a television set. People are not really interested in getting out of the prison. If they are interested, then nobody can prevent them. Maybe it takes effort, constant effort, perseverance, but they can get out of it. The bachelor's prayer. I pray thee, O Lord, that I may not be married. But if I am to be married, that I may not be a cuckold. But if I am to be a cuckold, that I may not know it. But if I am to know it, that I may not mind it. Our prayers, our desires are not really to be free, to be liberated. And this Mandukya Upanishad is basically for your total liberation. It is a key. The first is the so-called waking state, experience of the reality common to everyone, what we call the objective reality. Science studies this objective reality, of which we are aware in our so-called waking state. Hence, Upanishads call science avidya, ignorance. A very strange definition of science, but very true too. Upanishads call science ignorance, avidya, and religion they call vidya. Religion they call true science, true knowing, wisdom. And science they call not science at all, because the word science means knowing. It is not knowing. They call it avidya, ignorance. The English word ignorance is beautiful. It means you are ignoring the essentials and are getting too much obsessed with the non-essentials. Upanishads are right in calling science avidya, ignorance, because you are ignoring yourself. And what you are trying to study is only a public reality of the so-called waking state. The waking state itself is pseudo, superficial, and the reality that it observes is bound to be superficial. The attention faces outwards, enjoying the world in all its variety. The mind can function in two ways, either outwards or inwards. When it functions outwards, it becomes extrovert and it creates science. When it functions introverts, it becomes subjective. Then it dreams. Psychology studies dreaming, and science studies your so-called waking. And this is our whole knowledge today. Science plus psychology. Albert Einstein plus Sigmund Freud. Two Jews. That's our whole contribution to human progress. The second is experience of subjective worlds, such as in dreaming. Soren Kierkegaard has defined religion as subjectivity. He is wrong. Religion has nothing to do with subjectivity. Objectivity is science. Subjectivity is psychology. Religion is a transcendence of both. What you are doing when you are dreaming, in fact, it is very strange, but true too, that you are far more real in your dreaming than your so-called waking state. That's why psychoanalysis wants to know about your dreaming. Your waking state is so pseudo, it is not reliable at all. Whatsoever you say is not trustworthy. Your dreams are more reliable. It is strange. Dreams which are thought to be unreal are more reliable, and your so-called waking state is absolutely unreliable. People say one thing and do another. Everybody is a politician in his waking state. And the moment you are not a politician in your waking state, a miracle happens. Your dreaming disappears. Then you don't dream at all. Dreaming is a complementary process. Whatsoever you are repressing in your waking state becomes your dreaming. And the repressed is truer. This is the true story of how Andrew Young was fired from his post of ambassador to the United Nations by President Carter. It all started at a party that they both attended. The president met Andy in the men's room. Stepping up to the urinal, the president looked over at Andy's machinery and exclaimed, "My God, Andy, where did you get that big dick from?" "Well, it is simple, Jimmy," Andy replied. "Each night before I go to bed, I take it out and hit it up against the bedpost a couple of times. It springs right up bigger than ever, every time." The president looked amazed. He thanked Andy for the advice and left. Sure enough, when Jimmy got home, he took his clothes off, stood by the bed, and gave the bedpost an audible whacking with his machinery, and sure enough, up it came. Rosalind, awakened by the sound, sat up, rubbed her eyes and said, "Is that you, Andy?" People are far more truer when they are asleep. Dreams leak your reality. When you are in a so-called waking state, you are cautious. You say only what has to be said, what is right to say. Lokovics and Kogzilla staggered out of a tavern, stumbled over to a lamppost, unbuttoned, took things in hand, and started to pee. A policeman saw them, wagged his nightstick and barked, "Put those away and stop what you are doing." The drunks buttoned their flies in clumsy obedience, but one smiled. "What's so funny?" asked Kogzilla. "I fooled that cop," said the other. "I put it away, but I didn't stop." When people are drunk, they are truer, honest. When people are not drunk, they are deceptive, cunning. Hence, you will always find drunkards more lovely, more nice. A good company to keep with. Saints, you will not find good company. You cannot live with a saint for 24 hours. If he is really a saint, you cannot live. 24 hours will be enough for you to commit suicide. Either you will kill him or you will kill yourself. The criminals are more innocent because they have not been repressing. The saints are very ugly. Their whole life is rooted in repression. If you can make small windows in the heads of your saints, you will be puzzled to see what goes on inside. Their dreams are all ugly. Criminals don't dream ugly dreams. I have lived with both. Criminals dream of becoming saints, and saints dream of becoming criminals. It is a very upside down world, very strange world. Criminals are always thinking how to become good, and saints are always dreaming of all that they have repressed. Their sexuality, their desire for food, for money, for power. Maybe they are so deceptive that even their dreams are not direct, they are indirect. A psychoanalyst is needed to interpret them. This is according to Mandukya Upanishad and according to all the Buddhas, the second stage. Closer to reality, remember, Sigmund Freud is not the discoverer of the facts. Your waking is the farthest from the real. Dreaming is a little closer. Here the attention dwells within, charmed by the mind's subtler creations. The third is deep sleep, which is even more closer, the closest. The mind rests with awareness suspended. The first mind is focused outwards. It is the state of extroversion. In the second, the mind is focused inwards. It is the state of introversion. But in both the cases, the mind is functioning. In one, with the objective reality, in the other, with the subjective reality. In the third, the mind rests. It is non-functioning. That's why Patanjali has said that dreamless sleep is closest to samadhi, only with one simple difference. If you can add awareness to your dreamless sleep, you will become awakened. You will achieve samadhi. The third is deep sleep. The mind rests with awareness suspended. Only one thing is missing. Otherwise, the whole situation is ready. Just a little awakening, a little awareness, and your whole life will be transformed. Dreamless sleep is the sleep that nourishes your body, that gives you a taste of rest. If in the night you have been dreaming continuously, in the morning you will feel utterly exhausted and tired. If you had at least few moments of dreamless sleep, you will wake up totally refreshed. And in the morning you will say, I had a beautiful sleep. It was so blissful. But in the morning, because at the very moment when deep sleep was happening, you were not aware at all. You were totally unconscious. So the third state, which is the closest, is a negative kind of samadhi. It is emptiness. Mind is no more functioning. And the soul has not yet started functioning. It is called by the Upanishads the twilight zone. The evening or the morning, when the one state is gone and the other has not come in. Just the boundary line. You touch it every night. Every healthy person touches it every night. If you don't touch it, you go crazy. You go mad. This state is beyond duality, from which the waves of thinking emerge, is enjoyed by the enlightened as an ocean of silence and bliss. Ordinarily, you are not aware of it. But if you are enlightened, then you will experience it as the ocean of silence and bliss. The fourth, Turiya, say the wise, is the pure self alone. The pure is simply awareness. Dwelling in the heart of all, it is the Lord of all, the seer of all, the source and goal of all. We have to reach the fourth. One who achieves the fourth has become fulfilled. His spring has come. His lotus has opened. He becomes a Buddha, a Christ in a foot.